Hi everyone, this is Aaron for Zollotech, and I'm going to try and answer some questions you have today about the LG Revolution. We did a quick unboxing, there's been quite a few questions, and I thought instead of just answering you in the comments, I would go ahead and answer you in a video. So let's first go with the first person that asked 6 questions, Rushmore69. They said, does the Rev have an IPS display, and how does it look compared to other recent devices? Well, as far as specifically if it has an IPS display, I would guess so. I really don't have that spec, but it does look good at an angle, as you can see there. It looks pretty decent. The display looks nice and crisp. I don't see that as a problem. It's vibrant, and it seems to look pretty good. Here's my iPhone next to it with the Retina display. I mean, from a distance, they look pretty good. Let's look up close. Wait for that to refocus. There we go. It's not bad, so hopefully that answers that question for you. The next thing, not counting the micro SD card, how much internal device storage and media storage is there? Well, let's go ahead and find out for sure. We'll go ahead and SD card and phone storage. Total space, technically 16 gigs. Total space 12 gigs, available space 12 gigs. Internal phone storage is 1.32 gigs, so about 1 gig, 1.5 gigs. Internal memory, 12 gigs, it's supposed to be 16, and then the SD card is roughly 16. So here's the actual, so that should help. 1.32 for internal, 12 gigabytes total space after the OS and things, I guess, and then you have a 16 gigabyte micro SD card. So there's everything as far as that goes. The UI does seem pretty fast. That's another one of his questions. It's pretty quick. It feels average. I mean, about the same as anything else. It does lag at times, but overall it's pretty good. The call quality. Now, unfortunately, I don't have 4G in my area yet. Pretty soon, I guess. I have to drive to the next city over, Rochester, to get it. Had a few problems with the Thunderbolt when testing it out, but overall, I'm not really sure, but I can tell you 3G-wise, this thing picks up great reception, signal strength. So you can see I have 4 out of 5 bars. I'm actually in the lower half of a split-level house, so it's kind of like a basement or half a basement with some windows above it. And the signal strength here is better than most with this phone, and using this for the past couple days, I can tell you for sure it's better. That means the call quality is good. I've tested it, and calls sound decent, as clear as you would expect. No breakups or anything so far. Now, granted, I am in a decent signal area, and this has a great antenna in it. The next question is, between the Thunderbolt and Revolution, which would you pick? I would have to say I'd probably pick the Thunderbolt because there's something about it that just feels really solid. I like HTC phones, and I like the UI design, the HTC Sense, with the default Google on there instead of Bing. So I don't know specifically if it makes a huge difference, but for whatever reason, the Thunderbolt feels a little better in the hand to me. That's it. There was a comment by Mountain885 a few days ago that said no flash. Now, I don't know if they were talking about flash in the browser, which it has, or a flash on the back. It does have a flash. There it is. And it does work. We've used it already. And that's that. So it does have flash. The other person asked, how much RAM does it have? Thought on processor speed. That was from Bike Yogi, and I think we went over that. See, it was unresponsive there for a second. I'm not sure why, but it's not perfect, but I'm not sure why why it's a little bit slow, that sort of things at times. But overall, it feels fast, and then you get these moments of that. So that's about it. The next question by Amy Gips 1030 is, how does the thickness compare to the Thunderbolt? Well, here's the Thunderbolt, and if I lay them both flat, they're about dead even as far as thickness on a table. When you look at them on the side, because of the contour of the Thunderbolt, it may look a little thicker or thinner. Either way, they're about identical as far as when you see them flat on a table. There's really no difference. Our next question is from 97TJ, and the question is, does the Revolution have an HDMI mirror mode like the Droid X2? Actually, it does. Let's take a look at that. Here's my television, here's the Revolution, here's the HDMI. Let's go ahead and pop this open, plug it in, and see what we get here. So, Let's see what goes on here. TV detected it. And there we go. There's our mirroring. Slide up to unlock. Rotate. And we've got full screen. That's email. Let's go into the browser. Here's Zollotech, full screen. On my television, I'm mirroring here. And we'll check out Flash since we're here. Alright, it's playing. A little bit slow. There we go. Aaron for Zollotech. We're going to review the Droid Incredible 2 today. The first Droid Incredible was easily... So that's pretty nice. We have full mirroring. It also does HDCP. It lets you know. So if you have some copyrighted content and you want to watch it via the phone, you can do that. I've got everything here that I have on the phone. So pretty nice. Let's go on to the next question. The next question is by, forgive me if I mispronounce this, but J. McKevitt 94 or 94. Battery. How is the battery life? Well, right now we're on almost no battery. This hasn't been charged in a couple days, so it's been in standby for a few days. It does check my email regularly. You can see the indicator that's red flashing saying, charge me. I would say from initial impressions, it'll easily get through, I guess, a full day. Now that's not on 4G, that's on 3G. The battery in this phone is actually a 1500 milliamp hour battery, which isn't a bad size. It's pretty decent and about average. So as far as specifically how long it lasts, I can't tell you that just yet because I haven't actually done a test, but overall it seems pretty good. Another person asked, You Be Lovin' Me, asked, does it have swipe? Let's go ahead and see our options here for the keyboard. The input method is LG keyboard, swipe settings, so yes, it does have swipe. One person asked what the price is. It appears it's going to be $250 on contract. I'm not really sure, but that depends where you get it. If you get it through Amazon, it may be different. If you get it through Verizon, it may be different. It's hard to say, but that's roughly the price. From Halo Man 800, the question is two parts. Does it have Gorilla Glass? Well, as far as I can find, we don't know. However, if you look back on LG's history, all the way back to 2009, LG actually decided to go with Corning, who makes Gorilla Glass, to protect lots of devices. So my best guess is yes. I can't imagine that any phone manufacturer would not release a hardened glass material on the front of their phone. Specifically, though, if that information comes out for sure, please be sure to let me know because I'd love to know that. The second part of the question is, does it have a second-gen Snapdragon like the Thunderbolt? The Thunderbolt, I believe, does. The problem is it's hard to get the actual internal specs of what it is. The actual processor is an MSM 8655, and that's according to Phone Arena, assuming they have the correct specs on their site. So they actually have a rundown of all the specs that they know so far. TouchWiz ripoff. It's more of a statement from GNC 730. Yeah, sort of. It looks very similar, but it also has some similarities to HTC Sense. The final question that we're going to answer is from J. McKevitt94, who asked about battery life. He asked also, what is the quadrant score? Well, here's quadrant. Let's run a full benchmark and let it do its thing. Give it a moment. Run its test and wait for it to complete. So hopefully this will help all of you out that are about to make the decision whether or not you want to buy the phone, which comes out on the 26th. So that should be pretty nice for anybody that wants to buy that. I believe that's tomorrow. Should be all set. So you can see it's running a 3D test. Hopefully the battery doesn't die. It's pretty low. Screen's pretty dark right now too, but hard to see under these lights. Let it do its thing. But for those of you that really want performance, this is obviously a good test to run. How well it handles 3D graphics, that sort of thing. We'll let it go on. Now I do have the Droid X2 we'll be checking out also. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We'll send benchmark results. And there we go. This device has a quadrant score of 1,942 as opposed to the Droid X, the Nexus 1 2.2, Moto Droid X 2.2. So that should help you out quite a bit. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what the actual quadrant score is. That was just started after I'd installed a bunch of things, so nothing crazy going on here, just running it in front of you. So thanks for asking all those questions. I had so many I really didn't want to just answer them in text. I wanted to show you an actual video of what's going on here. So thanks for asking, and please feel free to ask any other questions I may not have answered, and if we need to, we'll do another video. This is Aaron. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.